Hey there, this is Andy Grider. I'm the host and producer of Unique This Week. It's a production of uniquenessispower.com. And we're really always excited to bring amazing guests to the table, folks that are doing something different, something unique, something that stands out in the United States, sometimes in the world. Today, this is a global thing we're getting to talk about that starts in New York City, the heartbeat of America, the center of it all, has come through with a lot of things that are, let's just say, changing the way in which buildings and building owners are being required to react and act. But this is about a much larger overall play as well. We have with us today Robert Politzer, who is actually one of my favorite people in the world, but outside of that, one of the only tree hugging developers I know, and probably one of the only folks I know who has really taken a vision and pursued it to a degree that most people just simply don't have the perseverance for. A lot of respect for what you've built here, Robert. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, it's so great to be here, Andy, and thank you so much for that introduction. I'm flattered.
Well, it's deserved. When you and I first met, it was over LinkedIn in probably April or about this time 3 years ago. It was about April of 2020. And it was, beginning of the pandemic, and we were both trying to help other people other ways then. But one night we got into this discussion that went for a couple hours about what your vision was for what was then Green Street NYC, which is now Green Street Global, that spoke to me in a big way because it was about saving the world on an environmental level. It was about taking things and making them the other favorite part of that you do that I love is the win-win-win of it all. There's no lose in it for people to get their act together and do the right thing here. So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, what it is that you're doing locally, and then we'll move to globally, and then we'll talk about a couple of other pieces. But let's talk about what Green Street does in general, if you could.
Okay, sure. Let me give a little background if I could.
Please.
COVID hit. I had at the time I had my previous Green Street company, Green Street of New York, which was a builder, developer, and green building consulting company. And COVID hit, so I, basically stopped doing that work. I left my beautiful Fifth Avenue office, came back to my home office. And soon thereafter, I learned about New York City Local Law 97 that was passed in 2019. And at the time, it was the most aggressive building-related climate legislation in the world. And it was a game changer because I started my first Green Street company in 1998, and way before there was even LEED, before there was really much of any green building movement. So, over the years, I and Green Street got involved in, green building, general contracting with the green building expertise, then with green building consulting, brokerage, real estate development, financing. So we have seen every aspect of commercial buildings from every angle, and yet. For the longest time, for example, I used to say substitute the word smart for green because green had a very negative connotation, especially in New York City. So fast forward to 2019, Local Law 97 gets passed. I incorporate Green Street NYC. And at that time, I had a vision for a real estate innovation hub in New York City. The idea, to bring together the leading edge clean tech, prop tech firms, bring together financing network, bring together, basically a one-stop program for building decarbonization, and with the goal of providing Local Law 97 compliance as a service, such that there wouldn't have to be an out-of-pocket cost for the client. So I started working in Green Street NYC, and then my consultant who I was working with introduced me to the Founders Institute, a Business Accelerator program. So I entered the program. We entered as Green Street NYC, a regional building decarbonization consulting firm. And after 14 weeks of this very rigorous program, we emerged as Green Street Global, having incorporated a new company in Delaware as a C Corp to be ready for investors with a global vision and a singular mission to make it profitable to lower carbon emissions from commercial buildings.
Which,
So,
I was going to say, and that's, I mean, the evolution that you just summed up so succinctly, fairly quickly there, is only a part of what has so incredibly impressed me, because I've been fortunate enough to kind of be in the, how should we say it, the side stage while this has been evolving, and getting to see an awful lot of what you've been doing. You've gotten to a point now where you've built an incredible team. You just brought on another major player for what you're doing. And you've managed to reach out and incorporate in ESG and a whole lot of other pieces that support that global mission. It seems like this accelerator program was a key in what you did. Can you talk a little bit about what that brought to the table and kind of how that evolved things?
Well, the first thing that it did, which was so critically important for all of the entrepreneurs out there who might be listening to this, I urge you to go through an accelerator program. I thought that I knew most or almost everything around entrepreneurship, and it turned out that there were numerous holes in my knowledge and expertise. The Founders Institute basically filled in all those holes. I don't feel, at this point in time, having gone through, and it was a very rigorous program. It was really hard work. Of the initial candidates who started the program, only about 25% graduated. It was very rigorous. And we looked at every aspect of building an early stage company, from branding to legal issues, financing, sales and marketing, the whole spectrum of issues. And what was interesting is that I never dreamed of starting a global company. I would have thought that was sort of egomaniacal. However, as we are going through this program, first of all, the Founders Institute is an international program. So I was talking to and participating in programs with people and advisors from all over the world. So that was the first thing. Then we're affiliated with eXp Commercial Brokerage. They're an international global real estate firm. Thirdly, the issue of climate is inherently a global issue. And so, a building owner in Johannesburg, commercial building owner, is going to face the very same issues as a New York City building owner: how to decarbonize their buildings without it being hugely costly. That's the fundamental problem from the perspective of building owners. And
right. Yeah, I was going to say, and you've taken it from decarbonizing without a huge cost to decarbonization and making it profitable, which I think is another really important note for folks to understand, because I think it is what sets you apart and makes you even more unique than you already are. I think there's a lot of people out there that have some ideas on how to do this in a way that might be economical, but right. Economical has been replaced by profitable with what you guys have done. So let's talk about how does that happen, Robert?
How does it happen? Like, I know a lot of people hear this and they think, and I'm sure that some of our, competitors like, oh, this guy, he's bullshitting, whatever. Well, first of all, again, I've been at this for over 20 years. That helps. Our solution to fulfill our mission begins with a series of cost-saving strategies for our clients. So we start by trying to save our clients money. And how we do that is we work with a company called National Utilities Refund. They do professional audits of 6 different utilities and all the credit card accounts. 70% of the time they find savings. Overbillings, billing errors, 70% of the time. When they find savings, they split the savings 50-50 with the owner, typically for 24 months, after which time all the savings goes to the owner. That's just found money. So, I'm a building owner. I'm a developer. I think in that way. So I'm thinking, like, how can we start by delivering value? So that's how we do. So we do the utility audits. We also are affiliated with a national energy brokerage firm. So we can, in all the deregulated states, we can get wholesale pricing for gas and electricity contracts to lock in the best pricing today, so that when the current contracts expire, we can utilize these new contracts and get them in at the best pricing. We work with specialty tax companies to look at the array of tax saving strategies, of which there are a number of strategies. In fact, there's a new strategy that's really, really dynamic, really quite amazing. So we can get a no-cost benefit analysis where, the client will get a very good sense for all the savings we can bring. We'll bring government incentives to the table. So as an example of the power of the government incentives, we have saved one of our clients on the order of about $150,000 without them cutting a check. It's part of phase one. We found them a New York City program that will pay for new white reflective roofs on all 5 of their buildings because they've got some low-income tenants in their buildings. So they qualified. These are high performance. These are state-of-the-art, high-performance white roofs. And he needed new roofs on all of his buildings, and he wants to sell his buildings. So right there, no cost, $150,000. So there's tremendous value right there, right? And all right, so that's phase one. Phase two is when we actually work on the building. Typically we can bring 100% financing to finance all the soft engineering costs, administrative costs, and the hard costs of construction to upgrade the building. We refer to this as zero net cost building upgrades because almost always the cost of the capital to do the upgrade is lower in terms of the interest you have to pay than the savings that the program brings in making the building more efficient, in lowering the use of utilities. That's the first. So along with finding some savings, putting money in their pocket in phase one, making the building more efficient. And here's the beauty, Andy. This is the alchemy of this moment. There's a huge financial incentive to go as deep as possible into a building upgrade, because the deeper we go, the more efficient we make the building, the more we're going to lower the utility costs. So that's going to mean that the operating costs are going to get lowered, and every dollar you save in operating costs goes right to the net income of the building. So we're increasing the monthly cash flow by making the building more efficient. That's number one. Number two, the more efficient we make the building, the more we're going to be lowering the carbon emissions. And it's not quite there yet, but what's developing is a marketplace to be trading carbon credits. So as this goes on, there's going to be a stronger market for selling those carbon credits. So the deeper we go, the more carbon credits we're going to have to sell. And then there's this EPA 179D tax deduction, this new federal tax deduction that was updated, which can provide up to a maximum of $5 a square foot. But that's if you get 50% reduction. So you got to go deep, right? The deeper you go, the more this tax deduction. So those 3 things together highly incentivize going very deep into an energy a building upgrade, and it all is providing value. Then here's where it gets even cooler, because we've made the building more efficient, we've lowered the utility costs, right? Then we can do a clean power plan. We can install solar or wind and other clean power technologies. They'll be more efficient because the utility costs have been lowered. But these utilities over time will increase the net income of the building as well, and we can finance the installation of those. So far, you see, we've built in profitability into the program, but it gets better.
I was going to say, but wait, there's more, and I know this because we've sat through meetings where, and here's the other part I want to let our listeners know. Almost all of this vision had I'll call fledgling form in that very first phone call I referenced at the beginning of the interview. It was taking birth in your head in sort of an embryonic state.
Yes.
And so from there, I mean, watching all this from my standpoint, listeners, is amazing, because it's the realization of a 3-year really tough slough of work and putting things together, but having things come up roses here. I mean, it must have been, right, Robert? There we are. So
a long journey. So just to finish out with the solution, so we begin with our cost saving strategies and our zero net cost building upgrade. Then we can sell the building, because we're licensed agents, for the owner at a higher value, because we made the building right. So now we're going to put more money in his pocket. We can sell the building. We can take his capital gains and invest it through a 1031 exchange, a tax deferred exchange, into a bigger, better building. And then we can apply our program to that new building. And then what gets really cool is when we work on a portfolio basis, where we work on multiple buildings. And that's where we can be helping to reposition and upgrade an entire portfolio, which is what we refer to as our ESG asset management. So that's our solution. To make our solution as effective as possible, there are three main components. The first is our proprietary app that I'm getting really, really excited about, Andy. We're going to be packing it with AI. We are looking to create the global leading app for building decarbonization, where every team across the world will be able to license our app and utilize it in their projects. It's really getting exciting. So we have our proprietary app, simplify and streamline all these processes. Then we're building out a vendor marketplace with a virtual vendor trade show, which I'm really excited about. And thirdly, we have a commercial real estate listing service of off-market properties for our buyers and investors. So we have our solution, and we've got our app, our vendor marketplace, and our commercial real estate marketplace. That's the whole of Green Street Global.
Which is, again, it's a all-encompassing vision. It started in New York City under Local Law 97. It's expanded through the partnerships with EXP and with the Founders Institute. And, as you said, climate is inherently a global issue. I think one of the most important things you said during the interview here, as far as things for people to take away, in the sense of, along with the tip that an accelerator program is an awesome thing for entrepreneurs. Yeah. If somebody wanted to understand more about this, they're a building owner in New York, they're a building owner in LA, they're a building owner in a larger city, or anywhere really at all in the world, in Dubai or in Nairobi, whatever. I mean, wherever they're at, what would be the best way for somebody to get in touch with you, Robert?
Well, the best way to get in touch would be just, could email me, robert@greenstreetnyc.com or robert@greenstreetglobal.com. Moreover, we've got a $99 intro to Green Street package now, where we'll provide the utility bill auditing, we'll provide the competitive, wholesale pricing, and we'll also conduct a private custom webinar for a client and their entire team, where we can look at their portfolio, we can discuss all of the related, and if it's outside New York City, then we can look at the state or federal mandates that are coming online that are going to impact these building owners. But that's a real simple way to get started with us. Simple $99. We'll even discount it when you move on to us, doing other work for you. We want to have clients to have a minor little bit of skin in the game, and to heighten their interest and just to really fully engage with us, because as you can see, we've got a lot of value to bring to the table. And here's my last thing I just want to mention. Yeah, I've learned this a long time. So I hear every day as a commercial agent from buyers and investors that what they're looking for is value add, value add, value add, value add. In other words, they want to take an already profitable building and make it more profitable, right? That's their singular, that's 99% of these commercial building owners, right? Right. Well, what I'm instructing these folks about is that in the 21st century, when you've got growing liabilities from excess carbon emissions, you have to include this building upgrade as part of your value add strategy. So just think of this as value add. This is what you've been doing. You just now need to add a new component, and we can bring that component to you.
Absolutely. I mean, and again, it only makes sense in the face of what is coming as far as legislation is concerned, but it's also, quite frankly, it's the right thing to do, and you're actually making money by doing it. So it's really hard for anybody to say, hey, this is not something that appeals to me, not something that works for me. Robert, I am really impressed with what we're seeing from you, how this is working, where it's headed. Again, congratulations on being one of the 25% that graduated out of the accelerator program, and for taking it completely under wing. I mean, to say that I was impressed 3 years ago would be an understatement. I was blown away, but you've actually ironically accelerated that into being flummoxed and floored on exactly what you've built here, because this is really impressive stuff. I think between the app and the marketplace and the vendor show and the virtual show, I think are all going to be huge value for everybody involved. I do have some other things I want to talk to you about when we're done here, some other connections that came to mind while we were talking. So I get to do my dot connecting ideas here with you as well. For all of our listeners out there, if you know somebody who has buildings that they own, they have a portfolio, they have a single building, they are looking to value add, as Robert has put it, please feel free to reach out. Please feel free to pass this along to them. Robert will be more than happy to speak with them, and I'll be putting his contact information up in the top of the screen through most of the interview, so you'll have that along with the name of Green Street Global. Again, you can also connect to Robert where I met him, which was on LinkedIn. My name is Andy Grider. I'm the host and producer for Unique This Week, which is a production of Uniqueness is Power. Again, every week we are trying to bring you somebody new who's doing something that is blue ocean, something that's cutting edge. In this case, it's a bit of green ocean. We're going to throw in a new term and help everybody save the planet while making more money. How can you beat that? Thank you so much, Robert, for being here.
Thank you, Andy. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, cheers now. Thank you.